thank you so much. And if there are any questions from the rector on things that he said, please now, because we have very little time left for the two leaders sitting on the stage. So we will request them to be brief. Any questions? No, it's it. Dr. Edgerton, the guests have started arriving. If you could please sort of have tea with them. We gave them 11 to have tea with the rector. So they have, sir, this side. I don't think there are stairs that side. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The Vice-Rector's update. And with due apologies to both of you, could we sort of finish on time, because we really do want to have the panelists the time that they deserve. Thank you so much. So Dr. Trimble, he's the Vice-Rector, Academics.
They know who I am.
Okay. And I just wanted to say that it's a joy to have you with us, Dr. Trimble. This is your second time at FCC. And it's much, even better than before.
Thank you, Dr. Roxana. I appreciate that so much. This weekend, I was leaving campus, and I met a student at the gate. And he was so excited to introduce himself to me because he had just received admission to the university. And I was thinking, what a treasure. That we have numbers, but when we think about the individual person, what a treasure this person was, that he is coming to us to do his education here. And that each of you will have these treasures in your classrooms this coming fall, and the opportunity to teach them. What an opportunity that we have, that we aren't just teaching groups, we are teaching people. We are teaching the future generation. And I feel so blessed to be part of this opportunity that we as an institution have for those students who come before us, that we can teach them. And so I want to thank you for what you do to make this happen. It doesn't happen from the administration, of course. It happens from the faculty. You are the ones who make the magic happen in the classroom where education occurs. And so I want you to know that you have support from the VRO. We want to make sure that each of you has what you need to make this an excellent year. That you come with a skip in your step, that you're excited to come to teach these students. Yes, it's work. I know that it's work, but it's also a great opportunity. And I really want you to know that we as a VR, the VRO wants to be able to support you in what you are doing. I'd like to introduce, I've already introduced Dr. Song to you. We also are pleased that Dr. Noel Coker is joining as the director of CPPG. We have a number of new faculty who are joining us, and we are so glad that you are part of our community. I'd also like to mention that Dr. Mevish Raza has done a great job as part of the CLT, and we are so pleased that she has served as deputy in the CLT. She is now switching back to her full-time role in the Department of Education. And so if you would give Mevish a round of applause for all that she has done. Is Mevish here? She stepped out, okay. In terms of personnel, let me mention that we have been able to increase significantly the amount of money that is available for professional development. And we used to be directing this through our office, through being able to do international travel. But the professional development will be handled by the deans, and there's been a huge increase in that. And so so be looking for that. And then we're going to expand the opportunities, that it's not just going to be for plane tickets, but it's going to be the opportunity for other things as well. And so there's fewer restrictions on how the professional development money is to be used, as well as an enormous increase in that. And so I'm very pleased that this is something we're able to do. It's part of our strategic plan to be able to increase faculty development. It's something that's important to NETCHI. It's important to us as an institution, and so I'm pleased to announce that. So be on the lookout for announcements from your deans on that. I'd also like to bring to your attention the laptop program that we started last year. And so last year it was up, we announced that there was a grant of up to 120,000 rupees available for buying a laptop. And so it's not that you have to limit yourself to a laptop, but that's how much that the university will reimburse you right away when you buy that laptop. And so we were able to do that for the first third of our faculty, the ones who had been with us the longest, those who had been with us since the founding until 2012 in terms of their joining dates, as well as our new faculty. And so this year, of course, new faculty will be getting laptops, and then anyone who joined before July 1st, 2019 is eligible for that program. And so if you have joined after 2019, I thank you for your patience. We'll get to you next year. So please do, we appreciate your patience on that. But we will get everyone within these first 3 years the opportunity to be reimbursed up to $120K for a laptop. If you pay more than that, that's up to you. Don't feel like you have to limit yourself to $120K, but that's the reimbursement that we'll get to you. And it's not like it takes time. We'll get to that to you right away. You don't have to wait years to get that money back from us. Okay, in terms of curriculum, there's a couple of things. One that I want to mention is the HEC has the undergraduate policy 2023. We still have not adopted that because it does not fit at all with our liberal arts model. And so I want you to know that the rector, the registrar, and I have met with HEC 5 times on this. We continue that conversation, and we will keep you informed of the status of that. But now that there's a transition in the HEC, I think we're back to square one on that. But please know that we are not ignoring this. We're giving it maximum attention, and we are working toward some sort of arrangement so that we can do our liberal arts education, do it well, and not have to give up on that mission. Part of that policy then, of course, relates to general education. And one of the things that we also need to do for general education is to do some look on how we assess this. And so we'll be working with the General Education Committee on assessing this, especially this is important for NECHI purposes. Thirdly, then, IT, AI, and IT infrastructure. I'm happy to announce that the ITS is doing some major improvements in E-Block and S-Block that we'll be seeing some not just increased points, but also increased concurrence. That's what. So at a point, the number of people who can actually access that will be increased very significantly. And so because we are asking you to use AI in your classrooms, we need to make sure that we have the AI infrastructure, or the IT infrastructure to do this. And so please know that we will be seeing some real big improvements with this coming year. The FEMI Quran course requirement that has come from the federal government, we are giving attention to this, and we will be working on this both. Well, we've already been work on this, and we'll continue to do this. Many of you know about this, but if you don't know this, this was a law that was passed by the national legislature that at the undergraduate and postgraduate level, all students have to take 2 additional credits, 2 additional 1-credit courses. All the Muslim students have to do this in the Quran. And so this is a bit unusual to have what some might call general education at the master's and PhD level, but this is a requirement that we are taking very seriously, and we will get back to you in terms of how that is going to be rolled out. We're working on that over this year. Faculty expectations. We need to uphold the core values. So many of you are doing such a great job with this, and this is so important that we continue to do this well, and to not ever to slip on this at all. If there's ever somebody engaged in misconduct, of course we as an institution will dismiss this person. So it's very important to take our responsibilities, our ethical responsibilities in the classroom with students as we do research, take that very seriously. We as an institution value this from top to bottom. Punctuality in classes. Please be on time for your classes. This is really important. Also, do not cancel your classes. Unless there's an emergency, you have to go to a hospital, etc. Do not cancel your classes. Meet with them every time. And so also, we need you to do a full day's work. We're not having you clock in the morning and clock out at night, like some other institutions. That's a little bit heavy-handed from our perspective. But it is our expectation. We're paying you full-time. You do full-time work for us, whether that's on campus or at home. It also means that if your department chair calls a meeting on a day when you don't have classes, you still need to come in for that meeting because that's part of your responsibility as a faculty member to participate in the operations of the department. And so all this means that we as an institution want to make sure that we're doing great work. We are teaching our students with excellence because we value them. And at the Vice-Rector office, we value you, and we want to make sure that you have the support that you need as well. And so I'm looking forward to talking to you again later this afternoon about academic freedom, and then tomorrow talking to you about the Academic Standards Committee and its work, as well as excellence in research. And now over to you, Dr. Gloria.
Thank you, Dr. Trimble. Good morning, everyone. I'm the third speaker on this panel, so I'll be brief because Rector and Vice-Rector has already covered very important themes. What I'm going to say is mainly updates from the Office of the Associate Vice-Rector of Academic Affairs, and I'll mainly cover student academic affairs and some of the key international linkages. When we talk about student success, at FC, student success is not only about getting grades and just passing the courses. It is very much about a transformative journey. It's a holistic development in all areas of students. This includes academic, personal, emotional, physical, and social as well. So for student academic affairs, our advising facilities have been really working hard. I'm looking at Dr. Atiq and Dr. Anam as well. They and their teams have been working really hard over the last year. On advising fair, there were about 1,500 student interactions in 2 days, and alone the advising center had about 100+ consultations given to the students. About 1,500 student consultations were given, and then about 1,000+ outreaches to students were made for the students who are about to just complete their degrees. About 1,500+ connections were made to the students who are not registered for spring semester, and these consultations were given to those students to just help them to connect with the stakeholders and see that how promptly we can help them and can bring them on track. 1,000+, then 600+ academic alerts were given. It means that structured follow-up was given to these students, and personalized consultations and academic roadmaps were prepared for these students. 1,400 credit overload petitions were reviewed. It means that it was ensured that responsible academic progression is being made while students are working on their degree roadmaps. So in terms of outcomes, we have about 77% persistence rate. It means students starting from fall 24 to spring 25. And our freshman to sophomore retention rate has been 71%. These figures and these numbers tell us a story, a beautiful story that most of our students are on track and they are building a momentum for completing their degree in due time. Next, I want to talk about another important thing, and that is mental health and accommodations that are being made by the Vice-Rector's office. You will agree that our student body is very different than what it used to be 5 or 10 years back. These days, we see that our students do have a lot of mental health issues like anxiety, trauma-related issues, or depression. And some of our students, a very small number though, but they do complete their, there's some echo with my voice, if this can be adjusted, please. So some small number of our students actually come from rehabs, and we try our best that these students do get integrated into our academic system. And there is also a small number of students who are dealing with serious mental health issues like schizophrenia. So we have been very intentional about making these accommodations, helping these students to get the support that they require from the faculty. And here I really want to thank faculty. There are so many faculty members who have actually walked an extra mile with our students and helped them to complete their courses and their degrees successfully. We also work very closely with student affairs and in terms of providing other facilities like safe housing, because there are some students who come from households where there is domestic violence and all that. So we just help those students to provide them a safe environment. Our student affairs have also worked on expanding counseling resources, and they have also prepared more wellness programs, and they have also revised their crisis protocol. Although most of our faculty is very sensitive towards students, but as a reminder, here we just want to say that what is faculty role when it comes to mental health issues of students. Some of us need to develop more empathy and show more confidentiality when we are dealing with student mental health issues. Please use early academic alerts and get in touch with advising center or with student affairs offices, and you can get a plan for helping those students, because we do have various resources. Allow flexibility where policy allows, and uphold standards and provide accommodations. By this, when we are talking about accommodation, it doesn't mean that we just gift grades to students. Of course, the academic standards needs to be maintained, but of course, it's a judgment call, and there is some detective work also involved sometimes when we are dealing with students. So these are some of the points that I wanted to raise, because of course, the academic success and well-being go hand in hand. Then I want to talk about gender and dress code. Last year, we have just worked on a draft policy on gender and dress code, which is, the policy is grounded in our core values of dignity, justice, respect, and service. So it is a very sensitive topic, and we are just trying to balance it with our cultural context and with also evolving needs of our student body. It's a draft policy. I'm not going to share specifics about it, but we plan to share this policy with different groups on campus. This includes students, faculty, and staff. And after getting feedback, we will be finalizing this policy, and we'll also see that what else needs to be done in this regard. For example, setting up open forums, focus groups, or some awareness sessions. Then I just want to be quick about international linkages, and I'm going to club all these international linkages that you see on screen. I just want to highlight this, that we have a lot of international linkages. Some of it is departmental-wise, but institutional-wise, the international organizations that you see on screen are very important. This is Global Liberal Arts Alliance, Council of Independent Colleges, and Association of American International Colleges and Universities. And Rector has already covered a lot about NECI as well. So for Global Liberal Arts, I just want to say that as an institution, we are not only on the receiving end, we are also on the giving end. And as we are in working with these organizations, I also want to mention that Foreman Christian College does have a global visibility, and we do attend most of the annual gatherings of these institutions, because they help us to track the trends in higher education, and it also helps us to bring back best practices at home. For Global Liberal Arts Alliance specifically, I would like to just share that Global Course Connect has, every academic year, we have about 12.5 Course Connects that are taking place, and it's very helpful for our students, for cross-cultural interactions, and of course for our faculty, for their professional development as well. Rector is also serving on the advisory board of Global Liberal Arts, and just at the beginning of this year, GLA had an international gathering in Egypt. I got a chance to share two presentations. The first one was about the impact of Course Connect on our campus, and the second one was about our response at Forman towards AI. Thanks to Vice-Rector's vision on AI that we want to develop a positive approach towards AI, and CLT's resources that they have prepared, I had a session for about more than an hour, and we received such a positive feedback from the Alliance. GLA is a closed group of about 34 organizations, and we received the feedback that FC is ahead of the whole Alliance in terms of embracing AI in teaching and learning. And here I want to give a shout out to Dr. Ruxana, Dr. Mavish, and your team. So with all this, I think I'll just stop here, and I just want to say that thank you for all that you do, and you ensure student success, extra mile that you walk with our students. And I just want to remind ourselves again of our beautiful motto, by love, serve one another. And I hope and pray that all that we do here as a community, we will be able to exemplify this motto. Thank you.
To share with you all as to what is happening on the campus and how they intend to see the campus moving forward. And it's a clear indication that they want to invite you into that space so that you can have your own comments and feedback. And so now is the time, and of course throughout the year, Dr. Trimble especially is available, and he makes it a point every semester, I think, to where he wants us all to get together in an informal environment, to chat, to whine if you want to, or whatever. So here is the time again, if you want some clarity on some of the things they have expressed, we could have a go at that. Just to say that all the panelists have arrived, and we can always start when we are done here. Good timing, though. Thank you so much. So any takers from the floor? Daniel, you have to ask something. I'm putting you on the mat. No. Okay. No,
Putting me on the spot.
Yes, yes. There has to be a first drop somewhere.
Okay, it just has to go with the microphone. I heard mention of a space committee. Is it true that that exists?
So the question was, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I heard Dr. Adult, I think, mentioned that a space committee exists. Is that true? And are there any faculty on that committee?
We do have a space committee, but that is mainly to deal with the space at the campus center where we are sitting at the moment. For the academic side, we do not have a committee. We mainly work according to the need assessment and departmental needs. So the space committee's convener, Mr. Furqan, who's our CFO, is here. So mainly, Rector was referring to that committee. And that is non-academic space, most of it.
Thank you. May I follow up? Is there any effort to try to have the design of academic space, particularly classrooms, informed by people who teach in classrooms?
Yes, sure. Actually, Rector did mention about U-Block, that we have a plan in place that in fall, we are going to make some big changes in E-Block. We know that S-Block is a little bit better, the science block, in terms of classrooms and labs and the resources that are there, but E-Block is actually under a lot of pressure with humanities, social sciences and education. All of them are clubbed, and business, of course, clubbed in one block. So in terms of classrooms, we actually, in Dr. Jones's time, some of the classrooms were converted into cubicles because of the pressing need of faculty offices. We did have a plan in our office to reclaim those classrooms, but we are actually just changing that plan because of the CBTR building coming up, and then also with the U block changes. But of course, we will be taking faculty on board, and but at times, let me say that it is very difficult when it comes to the committee, because as Rector was saying, that shared space is a very unpopular word on our campus. Sometimes people are very territorial about the spaces, and when we deal with academic space, sometimes faculty just throw tantrums over, small offices and all that. So it's not that easy, but we also want to be mindful of all the work that faculty is putting in, all the programs and departments that have been run, and we want to ensure equity in terms of sharing resources. So I don't promise that faculty will be taken on board with this, because in terms of having a committee that will be regularly meeting, but of course this is our goal, that we will be sharing our plan with them and we'll be taking feedback. Right, thank you.
Does that help? Yeah. Please, Sylvia. Mike. Miss Mike.
I think it will be easier now. You were talking about empathy. You were talking about us taking in consideration that some of the students have different problems, and for us to accommodate them. My point is, suddenly, in the last few years, all the students claim to have problems, and we cannot trust that everyone in the class will have similar problems. So what are the ways? I don't need to know what are the problems that the students are going through, but what are the ways that we actually understand those who really need and those who are just finding excuses to get a better grade somehow or get leniency from us.
Thank you for this question. As I said earlier, it is a lot more a discernment and a judgment call. I work with thousands of students, and I know some of them just play around. Just to share a small story, for example, students are sending pictures or evidence of someone else's accident and showing it as if it has happened to them. So of course, being responsible for what we are doing in terms of administrators and faculty members, we need to do some detective work. And we can ask them for some evidence, but sometimes students who are suffering the most, they are the ones who are very quiet or shy, and they are not actually asking for help. So for faculty, I think it is very important to have classrooms which are supportive and where asking for help is encouraged, where students can come and ask. But of course, that's faculty's call to assess that claim that student is making, and sometimes it is not that easy. That's why we have a student advising center as well, because there are dozens of students with whom we are working, and we know that they are going through some kind of mental health issues over a period of time. Because it doesn't go away that quickly. But then counseling center is there as well. You can ask them if they are taking any counseling or some psychiatric help, and if they have a doctor's note with them. And the other option is that we can reach out to the student affairs and we can ask for a counselor to just give us an assessment. We don't ask for specifics, but we just ask for some guidance and help, that what kind of help is needed for student, with a perspective for students' best interest, so that students can complete their specific courses and classes.
Any other takers? Gloria, if I may, you had dress code and gender along with that. Was there a reason? I did not, maybe I missed it. What did you mean by the gender component over there?
So basically, we do have different groups on our campus. For example, a male student would identify as a female. So we just, and sometimes there are some concerns coming from faculty that students are entering in classes in inappropriate or very revealing clothing. Okay. We do have a dress code policy in student catalog, and that basically says that students have to wear modest and culturally appropriate clothing. Purposefully, we have not made it a very complex and very specific one. but we are actually working on that policy. And for gender policy as well, this is actually a question, burning questions actually coming from faculty as well. For example, there is a student, let's say Ahmed, and he's identifying as Mariam, and he's asking a faculty member, call me Mariam. So we are just dealing with such kind of issues and situations, and faculty is asking us that how do we deal with such students, or male students entering in female washrooms because they are identifying themselves as females. So we are basically addressing those issues, and that's why initially we had some faculty members, some administrators who have just drafted a policy, because we wanted to have something in place before we reach out for feedback, taking feedback from students, from faculty, and also from staff as well. So I just wanted to update that this is something that we are not ignoring, and we are working on it, and in due time in this academic year we will be reaching out to faculty.
I must compliment you on taking such a needy and a timely step, you know. I haven't seen other campuses deal with it head on like we are. And I take this, I see that Arfa Sayyida has joined us. So, so no, you may keep sitting. Would you like to say something?
Is that all, or you're asking a question?
No, I thought, yeah, you are more than on schedule. So I just thought if there are any more questions, we'll be happy to take. No? Everybody, okay.
Thank you, Dr. Roxanne. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was really helpful, some of the things that you said. Our next session actually is on, has a very key connection to who we are as an institution. And I see that our panelists have arrived. Arfa Sayyida, you're creating a ruckus, sit down. It's lovely to see you. Love you for being here. So our next session actually is about, we have 235 in-person faculty with us right now, and there are 19 of us online. So I think that's a big number. Thank you for being here. And just to say that, as I said before, that we took a survey in the summer. And that survey actually was something that we wanted to link with the program of today. That survey and what you see in front of you right now is what the students are saying about the programs that we offer at at FCCU. The faculty, if you remember, were very satisfied with what they were linking, that they were linking their content with the marketplace. Their content was well laid out, the programs were well laid out. And so if you see what the students are saying, there's a little bit of disconnect over there. They're pretty okay with the academic programs that match their personal interests. Now that means that we are offering them options that they would like to take. But then when we go down to those programs aligning with their future goals, and then aligning with the job market, there is a steep decline. And that's a point of worry and a point of reflection more than that for us to take forward. That means that less than half of our students feel the program adequately connect them to the realities of the marketplace, and they are uncertain about how their programs will serve them beyond graduation. That's a mental health and an anxiety issue right there facing at you. And then of course they say that there are some things that we have to do better. I'm very quickly going to sort of talk about what this means. This means that we need to chart a clear career pathway. We need to balance students' interests with employability, and we want to reset our goal orientation for the students. But most important is how to connect the curriculum with the workplace. And so we have collected one of the best experts that the business or the marketplace can offer, and they will be very soon talking about their areas and what it takes to be there, what skills are required. But let's also take a moment to see, is that all what a higher education is supposed to do? Are we only to prepare students for job and market, and the marketplace? We know that when education and the university started, Morocco, I think, was the first university ever in the world which offered both religious and secular sciences. But then the real history, like let us say a West-centric history that we follow, talks about 1,000 years ago, starting with, professional degrees, and that was, I think, Italy or in Europe. Oxford and Cambridge came later. They talked about transmission of culture and character development, something that that's after Arfa's heart, what she talks about a lot. And then in the 19th century, Germany, they brought in research and scholarship into higher education. American contribution to higher education was human capital formation, local and regional economic development. And now a fifth purpose, all of you, is becoming increasingly clear, the political focus that is taking over in the universities. But I'll stop here. I know all of you are very excited, just some food for thought. And I am going to invite a spectacular personality to take this session forward, because I am unable to do justice. Rabia Akhtar, please will you come in and take over the session? Rabia Akhtar is now loved by all our faculty after her previous experience here. I'd like to have you, please. And she's the Dean of Social Sciences. Please go ahead. Dean of Social Sciences at the University of Lahore. She's a professor of international relations. She's the founding director of, Center for Security, Strategy and Policy, and Integrated Social Sciences. You hold a PhD from Kansas State University, and in security studies. You couldn't make your life easy, right? And so, of course, her research is even more, surprising. I think it's daunting for somebody like me. Your research spans nuclear security, deterrence, and now AI, and of course, Pakistan's foreign policy. I think we need to have you for that alone, the deterrence and security and policy. She is an author of books, and she writes a lot. And I think you are also allied with the Harvard Kennedy School, managing the atom. Is that it? And what a joy to have you. And please, over to you to take the rest of the panel forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan. Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and a very good morning, still half an hour until we hit noon. I would like to thank the rector, FC College, and Dr. Rukhsana and her team for inviting me here and for hosting this incredible faculty retreat. I think this should be a model for all universities. I know we at University of Lahore don't do this, so I'm definitely going to institutionalize this there. So a huge round of applause for Dr. Rukhsana and her team, please. So we meet here at a moment where work itself is being redefined by AI, automation, and shifting market structures. For Pakistan, the question is not only what jobs will exist, but what capabilities will allow our graduates to not only create, but also sustain value, whether they join firms, they build startups, or freelance across borders. So today's session is designed to move from diagnosis to design, from global evidence to local action. And across recent global analyses, a consistent signal cuts through the noise that employers prize analytical thinking, problem solving, communication, and resilience, and they value AI when it is applied strategically to outcomes, not as a standalone credential. So this keynote panel will frame this shift from content delivery to capability building, and it asks what that means for Pakistan's youth as well as institutions. To help us do that, we have a stellar panel which brings leaders who have built companies, they have shaped climate finance and policy, they have created culture at scale, and steered Pakistan's digital transformation. I will now invite them one by one to translate lessons from their worlds into concrete academic moves, something from which all of us can learn from. Our first guest, and I would like you to welcome him after I have read out his bio, is Mr. Omer Saeed. He is the CEO of Service Long March Ties Private Limited and Service Foundation. Omer Saeed is a business leader and an entrepreneur, currently serving as CEO of Service Long March Ties and Service Foundation with broad roles at Nestle Pakistan, Systems Limited, Service Industries, Service Global Footwear, and the Hunar Foundation. He's a Brown and Harvard graduate. He previously led Service Industries Limited, during which his company won multiple top 25 companies awards. And he's also the founder of Ovix Technologies and has taught entrepreneurship at LUM. So please welcome Omer Saeed. Our next guest is Tauqeer Sheikh, who is an international expert in climate finance and has led several key national and global initiatives. He currently represents Pakistan on the International Board of the Fund for Responding to Loss and Damage and serves as a senior consultant at the Asian Development Bank. Mr. Sheikh is the principal author of Pakistan's National Climate Finance Strategy, launched at COP29 in Baku. He also chaired the Prime Minister's task force responsible for finalizing Pakistan's policy guidelines on carbon markets. And his earlier roles include serving as advisor on climate change to the Planning Commission of Pakistan and leading the development of Pakistan's nationally determined contributions in 2021. So please welcome Mr. Tauqeer Sheikh. I would now like to invite Mr. Sarmad Khoosat, for whom you don't need any introduction, actor, director, producer, and screenwriter. He's a celebrated Pakistani actor, known for his emotionally nuanced storytelling across film and television. Son of a veteran artist, Irfan Khoosat, he rose to fame with his hit sitcom Shashlik and went on to direct acclaimed TV dramas like Humsafar and Shehrazad. His film Zindagi Tamasha won international awards and was Pakistan's Oscar submission, though its local release faced political resistance. He is also praised for portraying Saadat Hassan Manto in 2015 biopic Manto, and for innovative projects like the 24-hour live performance No Time to Sleep. He's also a great cook because I've been watching his posts on that. So please welcome Sarmad Khoosat once again. Our next guest is Mr. Zishan Qureshi. Zishan is a distinguished growth catalyst and strategist demonstrating an impressive 20-year tenure in spearheading marketing, sales, and product management initiatives across a diverse spectrum of industries, including fintech, telecommunications, electronics, and IT. He has a proven track record of adeptly orchestrating multi-million-dollar ventures surmounting to $500 million in value. Zishan's intricate understanding of the Middle East, Africa, and Pakistan's device markets is complemented by his keen insights into market dynamics, consumer behavior, and emerging trends in innovative marketing and sales channels. He exhibits a remarkable acumen for strategic planning and execution, fostering synergistic collaborations and driving businesses to new heights. So once again, a round of applause for Zishan. And last but not the least is our guest, Mr. Azaz Hussain. He's the founder of Systems Limited, Pakistan's first software house, established in 1977. He has led major technology projects involving systems design, hardware implementation, and industrial scale IT solutions. He also acquired and served as CEO of Visionist Systems USA from 1997 to 2008. A key figure in shaping national IT policy, Mr. Hussain has served on the President's IT Commission, multiple government advisory bodies, and was the founding president of PASHA. He has also been a member of the Economic Advisory Board and the Council of the Computer Society of Pakistan. So a huge round of applause for all our panelists today. So the way we will move is that I will ask one question each from our esteemed panelists, and they can, pitch what they have to say on the subject. And then if there is time, we'll do another round, but then we'll open to Q&A because we'll love to hear what the faculty at FC has to say and chip in and ask our panelists. So we'll first start with Omer Saeed Saab. Omer Saab, your journey building Pakistan's largest footwear retail network and founding OVIX Technologies, you hire a lot of graduates from Pakistani universities. What mindset and transferable skills do you believe are most critical for our students today? And in your view, what is it that our graduates are lacking? So, over to you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for having me here. So I'll talk about a couple of things. So I think let me start with entrepreneurship in particular, because I think that's a subject which is very close to my heart and which I think is kind of lacking in universities or academia today. So I've taught at a university for a few years also, so I have a good feeling for the curriculum and connection between curriculum and what the real world holds. So Pakistan is maybe one of the weakest countries in terms of founding companies. So to start a company, there's just no ecosystem. You can't get funding, you can't get started. There's a lot of talk about once you have a good business idea, money flows to a good business idea. It doesn't flow to good business ideas in Pakistan. It flows to family offices or people like us who are second, third generation businesses. We get those opportunities, we get a chance to work, we get a chance to fail, and we get a chance to give it another try. But a typical college graduate doesn't get those opportunities. So I think it's important for college graduates to know the lay of the land. The lay of the land is that there are two types of entrepreneurs in the country. There's the family entrepreneur, like me, and I've started 5 companies. 3 of them have failed. But I've been fortunate to try the 4th time and the 5th time, and the 5th time got lucky with some success. But a typical college graduate with no history of family business can't do that. So what does a student do, and what do teachers do, or what do you do as academicians to actually guide the kids? So you have to guide the kids towards, don't say that Pakistan, VC money will come in, it won't come in. And don't say that take your idea to a big business house who's running a multi-billion-dollar company, billion rupee company, and they'll give you 50 million rupees to start a business. They won't. Right? So they'll probably give it to one of their own guys, one of their own people who we've hired from colleges and who's smart enough, worked in our company, we know the kid has potential. We'll give the idea to that kid to do it, but not to an outsider who's your college graduate. So the college graduates today, if they want to go the entrepreneurship route, have only one option. And that option is to go into low capital startup businesses. Businesses which friends and family can fund. A business which you can start with $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Do those businesses exist? Of course they exist. Are they taught? No, they're not taught. What you like to teach is what is happening in Silicon Valley. Look at this Chinese guy, look at this Indian guy, and look at this Pakistani guy who's built a $100 million company, right? But that's not available for the college graduates. So one of the important things on entrepreneurship that I want to highlight is that your program should focus on low capital startups. What are low capital startups? So tutoring is one. So we've seen kids who start tutoring, raise some money, get into college counseling, and get into fields of that sort. And I can think of a few others, but not a lot. But that's for you to do. That's thinking for universities to do. So what kind of entrepreneurship do I want to teach? So a lot of kids have done well in the hoteling business or restaurant business and so on. So that's a quick word on entrepreneurship. So we take the cream as employers of choice. We take the cream of the best universities of the country, right? So what is left is really the second tier kids, second tier grades that you have, or whatever hiring process that you didn't succeed in, you go into the market, and the opportunities for you to raise money are even less, because you're not the brightest kid from your university. The brightest kids have been hired by Systems Limited or ICI or Packages or Nestle or whoever those top choices you have are. So what do you do for those kids? So what you need to do for those kids is really spend a lot of money in your career counseling and guidance programs in universities. So does FC College or other universities who are here have, how much money do you spend on getting the best career counselor or the best guidance counselor? How much money do you spend on linking your university with employers of choice? So why doesn't a university head have KPIs for their guidance and counseling sections to say that if you don't do 20 industry linkages, your team will be fired in 2 years? And what are these 20 industry linkages? It's just, I'll give you an example of FC College because we're here. It's just saying FC College students having co-op programs, or internship is not a good word, but having 3-month, 6-month co-op programs with industry, which will increase the chances of employment for your college graduates. It's not a world where every university or every employer will come to every university and attend these sessions and pick your boys. It's the other way around. You have to go into industry. And don't say industry is lacking in linkages. You are lacking in connecting with the industry. You need to go to industry and you need to fight and get your name in line for 20, 30, or 10 jobs at an IT company or a manufacturing company, so that when the kids graduate, they have job opportunities, right? So I think that's hugely missing. Maybe some universities are doing it, but if I was running a university today and I'm trying to solve this problem, which is academia and industry linkage, I solve this problem first. I hired the best people in my counseling team, I pay the best money to those guys, and I put the strictest or toughest KPIs for those guys, right? Third thing I want to talk about is something Dr. Saba mentioned also, is self-reliance, right? So I mean, our country is so far behind in innovation, and we keep hearing Pakistan doesn't have the brains to innovate, the brain drain and whatnot. I think somebody who's been in industry for 35 years, I think the real problem in our country is the ecosystems don't exist. So I'll tell you a great example. We solved a problem 5 years ago. Pakistan is a 70-year-old country, right? And Pakistan has $80 billion of trade. Import and export combined is $80 billion, right? And Pakistan did not make a single truck tire until 3 years ago. Can you imagine that? Is that technology? Is that entrepreneurship? Is that innovation? What is it? Nothing. It's just problem solving of that kind doesn't exist in our country, right? So we inherit businesses and we grow those businesses, but we don't pick problems and solve it. So we pick that problem and try to solve it, and in 3 years now, all trucks in Pakistan, imagine the number of trucks that flow around the country, now use made in Pakistan tires in 3 years. But so did we innovate? No. It's not innovation, it's emulation. You emulate something or imitate something which has happened in other countries. So you find a best practice and import it into your country. And I'll finish with 2 very quick examples of emulation, which is not innovation. I had 2 classmates from business school, and 25 years ago they said we're leaving the US, and we were all working in California at the time. We said we're going to India. They were both Indians, and said, what are you going to do in India? He said, we're going to start the eBay of India. But I said, eBay already exists for 10 years. He said, no, we're going to start the eBay of India, and in 5 years we will sell our company for 100 million. So no innovation at all, just emulation of an idea. And they went to India, they started the company called Bazi.com and sold it for $50 million 7 years later. I mean, are they brilliant minds? No. They've just picked an idea and replicated it in their country. Our country doesn't have the brain power to do many innovations, but we have a lot of capability, a lot of opportunity in emulating ideas. There's another case of a friend of mine who started a cinema chain called Cinepax. Many of you may have gone to their cinemas there. And it's just emulating what was done in Mexico. The company in Mexico called Cinemex happened to be started by a guy who was a year ahead of us in business school, did really well, and just copied the same idea in Pakistan, did really well, until Indian content got banned. But I mean, that can happen to any business. But emulating and imitating ideas is a great opportunity in Pakistan. There's tons of opportunities that exist in this country, tons of opportunities. And I've just given you one example of the last one that I picked up, which did really well, was this truck tire business, which is now, it's a $500 million industry in Pakistan. I can't imagine no Pakistani ever thought of making truck tires for their own country, what to talk of exports. And once we got into it, we realized it's not very hard to do. It's just you have to plan it right and can be done. So self-reliance is possible also. But it's possible again, maybe first you have to work on identifying the opportunity. And I don't think we're very good at identifying opportunities. The opportunities we identify as campuses also are existing successes. So we say, this guy is doing really well and making a lot of money in this business. Let me copy him. And let me be the second, third, fourth, or fifth guy in Pakistan who does the same thing that the other 4 guys are doing. But if you really want to teach innovation, you should teach innovation in the Pakistani context. Innovation in the Pakistani context is emulation of ideas, which have done well, which is the first thing you did in this country, for this country, which has never been done in this country before. But it's not rocket science. It's not something that you pulled out of the air. It's something you just modeled something from another country and put into practice in your country. Right. With that, I'll end. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. A huge round of applause, because I do believe that we teach entrepreneurship in our universities. We have incubation centers, but we somehow miss teaching about ideas, about innovation. And the case studies that we look at and teach our students, we don't use emulation as a strategy. So I think that's one thing for all of us to take home. Thank you so much, Omer. We'll move with this, I think that you talked about problem solving to green economy, and, would like to talk to you about, Ali Saab, how can our youth, it's the youth, first of all, and the faculty is very well aware of the climate challenges that Pakistan is facing. There is a lot of awareness. But there's still, opportunities there to connect them with sustainability work and climate work, but we don't see that sector flourishing with young, students. So what are your 2 cents about that, given your vast experience?
Thank you. And first, I am truly honored, in fact, overwhelmed and intimidated. And I want to create a distance between you and me. I can move here. No. I could have gone to the last chair. As much as I admire what I heard from you, I'll move from emulation to innovation, if I may. And I'll try to respond to a question about the perception survey, where about 48% students were satisfied, and there were rest of them were concerned about their careers, jobs. So I'll try to address that question in response to your deceptively simple question, right? And allow me to go back to 1916 to a speech made by Benjamin Netanyahu, our favorite leader from Israel, addressing American-Israel Public Affairs Committee. And he said and I'm quoting from his presentation, that by market capitalization size, 5 largest companies at that time were Exxon, BP, Shell, 3 oil and gas, GE, all we know, and 2 financial institutions like American Express, Bank of America, and whatever. And in 2016, in 10 years' time, none of them was top 5. And his argument was that the wealth is in innovation. Exactly the opposite of that you're saying. And at that time, these companies disappeared from their status. New ones came. Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, all new. And I was wondering, yes, we all see them. Excuse me. But between 2016 and 2014, what's the difference? And that's where the innovation comes in. Nevada emerged as the largest, and the largest business is not what they're known for. Yeah, I'll appreciate that. My apologies for this. The largest business is not what they're known for, but it's green AI. And from the other three companies, Apple, Google, and Amazon, are three largest buyers of renewable energy. Their main business now is innovation so rapid, is moving from something to something different. And Apple, Google, and Amazon are the biggest investors in biotechnology. We have a school of biotechnology here. So the challenge is in innovation for those people who were not happy with their tracks. And that's a question. Not only what we teach, but also what kind of faculty we need to hire. And just to give you one example, Pakistan's population, and then I'll move to one more point and conclude, will be almost double of what it is today by 2047, when we'll be 100 years old. Right now, if I'm not mistaken, about 80 million students, youngsters, are of school-going age, 80 million. And that number will be more than 100 million at that time. Of this 80 million, about 5 million are going to the universities. It's expected that by that time, at the same rate, about 8 or 9 million will be going to the universities. I don't know what is FC College's share in that. And I really don't know what your aspiration is in terms of pie size. But in terms of academic field and disciplines, you see that the demand will be growing. And just to illustrate, of the 5 million students going to the universities at this time, in 2047, 5 million students will be going to universities in Punjab alone. So that will be the size that we're growing. Now, that is where the thrust will be. It's not something that you're under siege in terms of market share or something. Now, I want to go back to my Netanyahu's example and share another point with you. I went to a school here in the city, and my lessons were very simple. Allah Fallah, Be Bakri, Kaf Kursi. Right? And really, I grew up in that atmosphere. And I was trying to think, I did some research before coming here, what will be the 5 biggest areas of economic growth and job creation in the world, in developing countries, and third tier I try to look at Pakistan and try to align that with climate change. That's my field, basically. So I want to give you 2 points, if I may, and I'll not take more than 2-3 minutes. My topic given to me was green growth. And because it's an academic environment, I want to go to the definitional issue a little bit. Green growth is a response where the externalities like environment and climate change was not costed. We looked for growth even if it meant diminishing our ecosystems and the environmental resources. And it emerged from Khoosat's graph curve that you reach a certain threshold of per capita income and growth rate, and then you will focus on the environmental side of issues. And no wonder the biggest champion of green growth emerged in Korea's, where we have Green Climate Fund hosted and where we have 3GI green growth initiative hosted. In some ways, it was a counterweight to development, and development meant inclusion, education, health, infrastructures, protection from flooding, drought, and so on and so forth. And development, since was slowing down from the growth rate, many countries went for that growth, and now we are trying to tag that. And in some ways, it was a response to sustainable development. But that's at a very high level, that's at the principles level. But the important thing that I think, for me at least, is that sustainable development protects the rights of the unborn, kids that will be born tomorrow or next generation. Now, that's where the growth rate I referred to. That's where everybody else comes. But it's very hard to operationalize that. And in the climate change realm, the focus is on low carbon growth and climate resilience. Resilience would mean adaptation, that you have systems in place that you are able to cope with the developments that are adverse for your society and for your livelihoods and for your infrastructures. And low carbon would mean that you make a transition to renewable energy or different kind of energy sets that do not have such adverse impact. So in operational terms, it's more than the sustainable development definition, that's an umbrella definition. It's a bit more than green growth. Many of you, the economists, will understand that better. Now, when we come to it, there are many issues, and I want to just mention one or two, if I may. Climate change discourse now talks about just transition, climate justice, meaning by that even if there is a transition, those who have been marginalized are not outside the development spectrum. Pakistan's population growth, I don't know what it is right now, but 48 million people, 48% of our population is below the poverty line. And if we continue with this rate, more than today's population will be below the poverty line. So the question then emerges that in pursuing the climate agenda, can we be a little bit more inclusive? Can the transition be more just? And therefore, these three definitions that I tried to juxtapose against with you talk about three different things, and that is the challenge for any university and any academic setup, including this one. Green growth is more about economic strategy. And very clearly, all of us know that it's not very rocket science. Whereas climate resilient strategy or climate smart growth or climate smart development is more about the adaptive strategy. How do we adapt to an unfolding challenge that you have? And the last one I want to define is the transformative change. Even if we are successful in moving on climate resilient development, we will need to be very transformative because the challenge is huge. And that is addressing the systemic issues, such as the just transition that I referred to. And climate smart policies alone cannot give us the workforce that is in demand in the global marketplace and the national marketplace unless the transformative change is taken, and transformative change will be in process. In other words, the role of academia is not to just give a strategy or economic strategy, and is not to just give an adaptive strategy, that climate change crowd would like to do that, but also be engaged in processes. So it brings you down from our Eiffel Tower of academic distance from the problem around and engages you, challenges to arrange. My last point. And that's a very interesting one. That takes me back to Allah Bakri. What are those 5 biggest common areas that I identified in my little bit of research? And I tried to put them for the purposes of communicating quickly in 2 minutes or half a minute. One, A, B, C, D. I didn't go to up to Z, but just a first. The very first one, the biggest growing area is about algorithms. You call it artificial intelligence, you call it machine learning, or whatever. And there's not a single area where you don't see its applications in real life. The second biggest growing area is biotechnology, particularly in health area and particularly in agriculture, food security domains. That was my B. My C comes to climate modeling. And a special challenge for a developing country like ours is downscaling models, so that we are able to precisely see where the impact will be highest and what kind of vulnerability assessment can be done. D, and you will bear with me on this one, is on digital services. E-commerce is the biggest growing area. Amazon tells you, and so many others tell you, and you yourself gave example of Indian example. So that's in D. Energy is important from emissions point of view particularly, but it's also very important in terms of R&D and training graduates with skill sets for long-term, long-life batteries, energy storage, and just transition. I'm coming from a city where I have a charging station for BMWs, but the entire city will not have anything for motorbike and rickshaws. These are the disparities that we are talking about. F is for finance. There's plenty of climate finance available, much more than we can possibly absorb. And anybody says that there's no money, doesn't understand what climate finance is, and that's my area. I'll be happy to take questions. The question is, we need to know why we want it and know how to use it. And the last one that I want to mention, it's not my favorite, but I know it's favorite of government of Pakistan. My apologies for this. I should have done that. The last one, which is favorite of government of Pakistan, is mining and minerals, extractive agency sectors. So these are a few sectors where are the growth areas, and we need to have students with skill sets in these areas in Rabia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alisa. So from what I understand from your top 5 areas is that our students are not ready because our curriculum is not aligned with any of these. That is why it's not translating into a skill set that people like him in the policy community need. So that's one takeaway for our faculty. We will now move to creative economy with Sarmad. So the Alif Be Pe, we know that we have become a TikTok nation. The May 2025 crisis, all of you saw what kind of memes we generated. But this is one freelance area where our youngsters are making a lot of money, but it's not formalized. I know very few universities in Pakistan which, give formal education to promote such skill set or art or creative arts. What is it that we need to do as a nation to bring this energy that we see every day on our screens and engage with and in our classrooms, talk about? How can we formalize that energy, and what role can universities play so that this creative economy also becomes a really formal sector, participating in growth of Pakistan? Over to you, Sarmad.
Assalamu alaikum and a good afternoon. And I'm feeling very intimidated, yes, with such accomplished people here and Dr. Rukhsana sitting there. I won't tell her. No, yeah, sure. Now, arts definitely, have always been a bit of a murky area when we talk about commerce and economy. I don't know if we have ever looked up to painters or writers to really look for lucrative, commerce-oriented ideals for life. And particularly when it comes to filmmaking and media, I think it was ignored for the longest time on the academic level. I mean, I graduated in 2001, and which was, again, yes, 24 years ago, but not 1947 for sure, And there was no film school. There was no film department. None, zero in Pakistan. Even at a place like NCA, they did not have a film or a television program. for whatever reasons. I mean, and everybody knows the story, the political story, the story of whatever was being curbed and whatever was being banned and censored, etc. But having said that, that in a safe academic environment where we were teaching painting, we were teaching sculpting, we were teaching literature, the performing arts, particularly of the recorded kind, which are cinema and television, they were not being taught. In 2004, I remember I replaced one of my friends who was teaching at the Kinnaird College. She was teaching a brief program on documentary filmmaking as part of their mass communications program. And she had to go and they did not have a replacement teacher, so I filled in thinking that, you know, I'll just go and see how, you know, video production, cameras and all of that. They had a radio program going on for years, you know. They had a proper, you know, course on journalism, etc. But, so, you know, so we did ignore the creative arts for the longest time academically, I believe. And then, of course, we started seeing, you know, more inclusion, more emphasis coming with places like NCA, and then places like BNU, and then University of Lahore, and other places. But having said that, I think it was a bit of a, you know, a situation where we were late to the show by the time social media had taken over. Now, with social media also, I think it has taken a very interesting full circle. I mean, the first film that was ever produced, or the first time when camera was manufactured, a camera with the capability of recording live action, was about 130 odd years ago, you know. And they would just capture things like people walking out of a factory, or people waiting at a train station, or a girl walking on the beach, you know. And come to think of it, that's where we are, you know, back to the same thing, you know. Now, I think we are dealing with the biggest challenge of yes, there is formal training, but that formal training was aimed to perhaps, you know, catch up with the rest of the world and teach film and cinema on a level where it could be taken as a discipline, but throw that in the mix of social media, where we can broadly call it content, but at the end of the day, it's audio and visual, you know. That's where the story of cinema started. And now, I don't know, I do find myself very confused when I look at the opportunities work-wise. Whereas one would like to believe that, you know, there's freedom, there's liberation, there are more opportunities to disseminate your work, to distribute your work. There is more authorship control. There's a more direct maker to the consumer connection happening. But it's all really ad hoc, I feel, you know. Whereas I would not want to come from an angle of judging content, so to say, but we have really muddled up so much, like between a vlog and a film and a reel and a meme, you know, it's all content at the end of the day. And all of these cannot be turned into careers, to be honest. Some could be just tools to help you disseminate your work, to promote your work. Like in our film world, for example, you do make a film ideally thinking that, oh yeah, the classical, the actual ideal place for it would be a theater, because cinema is not just about what you're seeing on screen, but about the collective experience of watching something, like in the theater, right? But then, now we have OTT platforms where you do get another opportunity, if I'm talking about the commerce side of it, where you can get money, you can get numbers, and you also have YouTube, which can monetize things for you, you know. But having said that, if we do not emphasize enough on the journey, on the story, the skills have become very easy, you know, and they could be as ad hoc as becoming a TikTok star, or just, you know, making something that you really believe in and not finding an opportunity to put it out, and you would find it on YouTube, and you can place it there, and you can perhaps make a little revenue or recognition or whatever you were looking for, you know. And now add to the mix AI, where I think the biggest challenge is, to be honest, I don't know, it is definitely helpful. It is going to speed things up. It is going to be, it is the future, and it is today actually, not even the future, it's today. But that is where arts are going to suffer the most, because again, I'm going back to not going to a film school and then thinking of what my story is, or what are the stories that I'm going to tell, and hence believing in some kind of a self-made process to learn it. But here, I think what AI is posing as the biggest challenge to the creative arts is that we are condensing the process to a very, very fast track, where I don't know, like, I was just thinking the other day that, we would be very scared of open book exams, because that was, we always thought, oh, the teachers are really, they're proving a point that, here's the book and you can, go play with it. But yet, so I don't know, right now, that's how I feel that, with plagiarism, with copying ideas, with not knowing much about the subject that you're dealing with, and then add AI to the mix, I don't know, how would those filters come in? Where would my honesty to the process would reflect? So having said that, now, as muddled up as it may sound, but literally that's where I feel we are. If we talk about, so I was just mentioning cinemas, right? Cinemas, we know, are a tough business to maintain, They're expensive places to run, and we need enough films to run them, So that's an area where we're definitely not in a good position, not at all. Do we have an OTT platform of our own in Pakistan? No, we don't. There is television, which is thriving. But now, are we catching up with the rest of the world? Traditional television is dying everywhere in the world, But at the moment, the most commerce that can be, connected to any of the recorded arts is television. They're producing dramas and infotainment and news, and all of that is going on. Now, with this, I do feel that, first of all, some kind of a segregation, some kind of a backtracking where we go back to, if we were to teach film and television and theater like disciplines, I think the academic kind of worth that was meant to be put on it, as opposed to just going the lucrative way, because there's nothing much to be taught, to be honest. Nobody needs to learn how to make a TikTok reel. Nobody needs to learn how to vlog anymore. I mean, from the time that big elephant-sized camera shooting people at a railway station, to now your phone just being pointed at something and you're recording something, and that could be called anything, like a reel, a short, a film, or whatever you want to call it. So I do feel that academically, we need to go back to owning it like a discipline, and not letting it be confused with this whole avalanche of content that we produce every day. Those are opportunities. Those are things that can help you speed up. Those are things that can help you get money. But then, if we are talking about arts exclusively, we are not in the greatest space, to be honest.
Great, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen,